Insta360 have been on fire lately. They've been making, I think, some of the best action cameras on the market. And now they've updated my favourite 360 camera. The X3 is one of the most versatile, innovative and fun cameras that I've used, with the new X4 getting a huge upgrade to 8K. This is not a sponsored video, but they did send me one of these for free to make this review. I will link to it in the description. But these are my honest thoughts and opinions after shooting with this camera. What are its strengths, what are its weaknesses, and why is 8K such a big deal? What's up guys, my name is Jack, I'm at Tech Videos. The headline feature here is the jump from 5.7K to 8K, which doesn't sound like much at first, but it actually means that you're getting 78% more pixels than before in the full 360 video. And that's important because when you've got more pixels, you've got more scope to work with when reframing your video. You can get in nice and close for a shot like this, just focusing on you with more clarity, or zoom out for a more panoramic shot showing more of the landscape, or go out even further for this hyper stylized look. And this is all powered by the new 5nm AI chip. This camera records everything. You can move between subjects in the 360 video, panning around to reveal a viewpoint and change the perspective. Even change the aspect ratio between horizontal and vertical, so it is easy to share your footage to different platforms. The X4 also now supports H.265, which is more efficient. So even with all of that extra resolution and quality, the file sizes are about the same as before. The footage from the X4 just looks amazing. I've mostly been shooting in the 8K setting because it just looks so good. And check out how smooth and steady it is. I'm consistently impressed by the flow state stabilization, even when I'm like running around and waving the camera all over the place. Now, just to go over how this thing works, in case you're completely new to these, the X4 has two cameras, one on either side, that both capture a super wide field of view, which then gets stitched together into this 360-degree ball of video, which you can pan around and reframe after shooting, which is really easy to do with the app. It might seem a bit daunting at first if you've never worked with 360 video, but the app is like the silent star, and we'll come back to this in a moment. This camera is such an amazing tool to have because you don't have to think about how the shot looks or if the subject is even in the frame. And you can capture shots that you just wouldn't be able to do with a typical camera. And because the X4 knows where the selfie stick is, which falls on that stitch line, it just removes it from the video. So you get this drone-like footage captured in the third person. Like, look at this shot here, starting right down low by the waterline, and then raising the X4 up on the selfie stick, revealing the boat, with the perspective shot the other side of the railing. Like, there is no way you would be able to do this with your phone or with a normal action camera without that selfie stick being in the shot. With the built-in gyroscope, it also keeps the video steady and level as well, no matter how you're holding it or how it's mounted. It is always locked onto the horizon, unless you turn it off or you want to play with the rotation when editing. And it does a pretty good job of stitching the footage from both cameras together. Most of the time, it just looks seamless. The X4 is a refinement of the X3 design. There are a few differences here to highlight. It is a little bit taller now with a slightly larger 2.5-inch display. It also has this nice new textured back, and it's still a great size for taking it with you. I've been keeping this in my sling along with the invisible selfie stick. This new design also now supports lens guards, and this is something that a lot of people have been asking for. The last thing that you want to do is damage or scratch these lenses, which do stick out quite far from the camera to capture such a wide field of view. You get a set of lens guards in the box which just twist and lock on in place. So if these get scratched, you can just replace those for a few quid and you can worry less about the camera when you're shooting with it. And this thing is already built like a tank, like it can take a bit of a beating. So this is just a great addition to protect those sensitive lenses. All of the buttons and ports are in the same places. There is a USB-C port for charging and for wired transfers, which is about twice as fast now on the X4 as are wireless transfers. The removable battery is larger. You can now get up to 135 minutes of shooting time, depending on the shooting mode. And that is 67% longer than the X3, which is just fantastic. You can spend less time having to recharge. But shooting in 8K will drain the battery more quickly than in 5.7K. but I always carry my Anker MagGo power bank with me anyway, and you can fast charge the X4 back up to 80% in about 26 minutes, in no time at all. Or you can just pick up a spare battery to swap out. On the bottom, there is a 1/4" thread for mounting on a selfie stick, on a clamp or suction cup. They have a ton of accessories and kits ready to go for snowboarding, cycling, helmet mounts. It's waterproof up to 10 meters, and they also have a dive case if you want to go up to 50 meters deep. Whatever it is you're doing, then they have a mount for it, but you can still get incredible shots with just the invisible selfie stick alone. They also have this ridiculously long 3-meter stick, and if you pop the X4 on the end of here, then you can really get some drone-like footage with that extra reach. There are a lot of places where drones simply aren't allowed to be flown, but with this you can get a similar effect. The X4 has a ton of different shooting modes. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will do the most important ones. With the 360 video mode, you can shoot up to 8K 30 FPS. In any mode, you can swipe in from the left to switch between auto and manual settings for that extra control. I've left this on auto, which I think most people are going to do, and it does a really great job of adjusting to different lighting conditions. A swipe down gets you quick access to some general settings and toggles. Swiping right takes you to the gallery, and a swipe up lets you change your resolution and frame rate. You can shoot at 60 FPS in 5.7K for smoother footage, or up to 100 FPS in 4K, great for slowing down the action. As I mentioned, I've been using the 8K mode a lot. It just looks so crisp and clean, especially on bright sunny days like this. The X4 just captures colours beautifully, like the teal blue water here, without looking over the top. I did get a little sunburn out here, which is why I look like a lobster. My waterproof sunscreen wasn't as waterproof as it said. And there are different colour profiles that you can shoot in and filters that you can add when editing in the app. But in lower light, you will get a pop-up recommending that you drop it down to 5.7K. It does struggle and get very noisy in darker lighting at 8K. 5.7K looks better, but it definitely is a camera more suited to daylight shooting. You can shoot 360-degree stills as standard photos or in HDR up to 72 megapixels for these great big sweeping vista shots. HDR does take a few seconds to process each photo, but the results, they just look fantastic. It was quite dark and quite shaded inside the top of this tower with the sun beaming outside, but it still captured all of that dynamic range, and you can get kind of creative with the framing and sort of zoom all the way out for a shot like this. They've also added gesture controls. A lot of the time you're going to have the selfie stick extended with the record button just out of reach, but now you can hold your palm up to start recording or make a peace sign to take a photo with a countdown, so you just have more hands-free control. You can shoot a time lapse or a time shift while moving and walking through a space. Bullet time is a really fun one. If you pick up the bullet time handle, you can attach it to the selfie stick and then spin this around above your head and feel like you're Neo in the Matrix. And I've seen people make these like cool transitions between places as well, if you've shot a few different ones. One of the best things about this line of cameras is its versatility. You don't have to shoot in 360 all of the time. Switching over to single lens mode, you can just use this like a traditional action camera from a single perspective, or you can use free frame if you want the option to change the aspect ratio after shooting for sharing to both YouTube and social media. But my favorite here is me mode. With this, you shoot with the selfie stick flat out and extended in front of you, and it uses like the bottom half of each camera to look directly back at you, framing you like perfectly in the center. Again, removing that selfie stick so you get this third person perspective locked onto you when you don't need to capture everything around you. You can still switch the aspect ratio after shooting, which is great. You don't need to think about where you're going to be sharing it to ahead of time. Just focus on capturing the moment. Not like me here. I did get my feet a little bit wet. It's a great one as well for fast action. You can shoot up to 120 FPS in 2.7K with this mounted out in front of you while you're skiing or on a bike. But I also think it looks pretty cool for just vlogging and walking with. Like here I am walking along the harbour with the X4 locked onto my movement. It's a pretty cool effect. Speaking of vlogging, this is how the built-in mic sound. If you want to use your own mic or you want to use a wireless setup, then they do have a mic adapter that plugs into that USB-C port, and it fits along that seam line, so like the selfie stick, it is also just invisible in your footage. The X4 is one of the most fun cameras that I've shot with, but All of that means nothing if it's a pain to edit and share the footage. Well, the Insta360 app, it really does it makes it easy, even if you've never worked with 360 video before. There is a desktop app as well, but I find the mobile app to be more than capable. In fact, it's even better in some ways, as you'll see. You can watch and edit your clips while they're still on the X4, or you can transfer them wirelessly to your phone, which can be done in the background. You don't need to leave the app open anymore. Once you've chosen a clip, you can track a subject or move through the clip and frame up and add keyframes. But my favorite way to edit is using the viewfinder mode, and this is why I love the app so much. With this, you can reframe the video as it's playing just by moving your phone around using its built-in gyroscope. It just makes it so quick and easy to move between subjects. It almost feels like you're back at the event and shooting it as it's happening. It just feels like such a natural way to edit. And if you don't feel like doing anything yourself, you can let the app analyze your footage and edit some clips together for you as it picks these little moments in the video to frame up on. And I've got to say, it does a pretty good job. Like, look how it turns to look at these guys sat on the bench as they're probably wondering what on earth I'm doing walking around with this big selfie stick. You can trim the clips, change the aspect ratio, add filters, use motion ND, which smoothens out the video and makes it look a lot less choppy, as often happens with action cams. Then hit export and you're ready to go. Editing your clips actually feels fun with the app. It doesn't feel like a chore. And one of the huge benefits of the X4 is you can export the same clip in both horizontal and vertical, or reframe the video completely from the same clip. You might find something else happening in the video that is something that you want to show. It also acts as a wireless remote and viewfinder, so you can set up the X4 remotely if you've got it mounted somewhere out of reach. You can choose your mode and settings and pan around to see how things look and start and stop recording. To me, the X3 and now the X4 are some of the most innovative action cameras on the market. Being able to capture everything that's happening around you with the freedom to reframe and change the shot later is a real game changer. And it's such a fun camera to use for action sports and travel. While I was away, I did share a few clips with my friends, and some of them thought that I was using like a special drone, even though with a drone, it will be really hard to get shots like these on your own, especially at speed. The X4's strengths lie in its versatility, the ability to reframe a shot or change the aspect ratio for different platforms. I think that it works best when you have like an idea for a cool shot in your head or a moment where a normal action camera just wouldn't be able to capture it in the same way. The third-person viewpoint from the X4 just makes the footage look so different and unique. It looks its best in daylight. It does look noisy and grainy in low light, so this might not be for you if you are doing a lot of night shooting. Insta360's Ace Pro looks amazing in low light, so if they can bring over some of that goodness to the X line, then that would be very welcome. I love this camera. It is easy to use and just fun to try and find creative ways to shoot with. Even if you've never worked with 360 video, the app just makes it so easy to edit and share your footage with your friends. If you've got the X3, then you might not feel the need to replace it with a 4 just yet. It is still a great buy, and you might find this at a discount if you are on more of a budget. But the 4 with the 8K does give you more resolution to work with, more protection with the lens guards, and the faster transfer speeds, the longer battery life, the gesture controls are all a nice bonus. Links are in the description. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Hit like if you think it's a cool camera, and subscribe and hit the bell to see more tech videos from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.